Welcome back, everybody, into Bill's Chat. I am Josh McCarty. With me tonight, as always, is Luka. Luka, 2-0, and this one was not very difficult.
Uh that's to say the least. This was you don't even ask me how I was feeling at the kneel downs. I think you can ask me how I was feeling about halfway through the second quarter. And there was already thoughts about what other game should we throw on the main screen, because you had like Bengals Jags going pretty decently, and you had I think Titans Rams was good for a stretch there. I mean, Dolphins Patriots was interesting. And then everything that was happening on the main screen, Josh, was just utter domination to the point where, as we'll get into, the passing game for the opposition didn't look competent until they went to another individual under center due to injury reasons. And it was that was a true tears performance by the Bills. Look, Jets, you had fun last week. You had a great game against Rodgers. Unfortunately, you just came up short, even though you had an impressive offensive performance. Now, welcome to the real show. Like, welcome. This is how championship contenders look. And it's, that reality hit them hard and fast. So it was a fun one as a Bills fan.
I can't remember the last time I saw a team, the Jets, get so much credit for almost winning a home game against a mediocre team. And that's what the Steelers were before today. I think we could even say maybe after today, they're a bad team when they got beat by the Seahawks, who are missing two of their best secondary members. I it almost felt like manufactured talk. And I get everything. The Jets have played the Bills tough in the past and all that, but there were so many mistakes by the Jets coverage last week against the Steelers, and so many reasons to believe that the Bills would be okay in the passing game, which they weren't. And to your point, this game was the ultimate matchup of levels. Was there ever a point today, Luka, where you even felt threatened? Because there was one moment where I was just kind of like, it was 17-3, 20-3 Bills. And the Jets get the ball back. It seemed like the Bills kind of mismanaged their last possession of the first half, where they call a quick timeout. Romo was on it, and then they end up not doing anything with it. The Jets get the ball back, and I was thinking, it's going to be kind of a bummer if the Jets get a field goal here and only go into halftime down 2 scores. But even then, what are we talking about? It's 2 full scores, 2 touchdowns, and the Bills get the ball. So that was just kind of like But I never even really felt threatened after the Jets' first 2 possessions, where it was Jets 3 and out, Bills touchdown, Jets sack fumble. To me, that was ball game. And there was never a point after that where I really felt like the Bills were at all at risk of losing this game.
As soon as the sack fumble happened, it was truly ball game to me. I mean, you know what? When it was really over to me, this is when it was really over to me. Just because shout out this one particular play, Josh. Josh Allen gets smacked in the nose bleeding, although Tony Romo was like, this is never good. He would never take himself out. All right, Romo, like, relax. It was pretty apparent on the screen that it was a bloody nose, maybe even a busted up lip / maybe a tooth got knocked out, especially after you saw the whack, unintentional, like perfectly fine, whatever, just happens. Whack to the face of Josh Allen. Yeah, he's pulling himself off because there's blood. Everything's going on. He needs to clean that up. Trubisky comes in there and throws an absolute dime to Josh Palmer and looks like he's a better passer than the guy who's supposed to be playing for the other side. Like, that was the moment where I was like, yeah this thing's over. Like, this, if Mitch Trubisky in a pretty, all things considered, pretty vital moment of the game. I mean, Mitch Trubisky, say the Bills just did oh shit, we got Trubisky in there, hand it off, punt it away, try to mitigate things while we figure out what's going on with Josh and, patch up his nose. And instead, they trust him on a 3rd and long to throw a beautiful ball to Josh Palmer, catches it, comes down, continues the drive. I don't even remember, like, this game is actually very, I don't remember much from it, to be honest, other than the fact that they didn't need much from Josh Allen stuff. But that moment sticks out to me because that truly felt like the moment where I was like, holy shit, nice throw, Trubisky. And also, this thing's over. Like, if we're able to perform at that level, even in a moment where adversity is hitting you a little bit, you got to figure this out on the fly. It's understandable if you're kind of looking around like, okay, what do we do from here? And the team just kept moving, kept rolling, just all focused on the objective and getting things done. that's over. It is over from that point. We are clearly a leg up on you at this moment in time, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So that truly, from an internal perspective, Josh, I can honestly say from that moment on is when like I talked about earlier, when I started noticing myself, I'm still locked into the Bills game, but also, wow, that Jags Bengals game has a little bit more going on in it. Or, Patriots Dolphins on one of the small screens off to the side had a little bit more going on with it. I mean, Giants Cowboys, that was a high scoring pillow fight if we've ever seen one. That was an interesting one going on, and the dynamic of all of that. So that was when I noticed that my focus might have not even, like, we'll call it 85 to 90%, but it wasn't 100% like you would expect play in, play out, because the vibes and the just feeling you got watching that game from that moment on was, again, the Bills are just multiple tiers above this Jets team. And this Jets team can bring their A game and everything like that, but it didn't even have the feeling of, one of those kind of grueling, sluggish divisional Jets games we've seen in the past. This felt like the Bills truly were locked in. They didn't want to experience anything like they did last week against a much better team, of course, in the Ravens. And they just wanted to get in, get out, take care of business, and move on with their lives. And that's exactly what they did, even when little moments of adversity hit them, like Trubisky having to come in and take over for Josh Allen for a little period of time due to that bloody nose.
So yeah, Trubisky comes in at 3rd and 7 at the Buffalo 23 and throws a 32-yard pass to Joshua Palmer, who was covered by Sauce Gardner.
Yep.
And that drive ultimately ends in the 52-yard Matt Prater field goal. And at that point in time, just points were points. And yeah, to me, I mean, you could make an argument. I think I'd have a hard time coming up with another one. That was the biggest pass of the game.
Yeah.
Given the situation, given the fact that the Jets needed something. The Jets needed something catastrophic to happen to get back in this game. Josh Allen going out for any length of period of time could have given everybody in that Jets uniform a belief that they had a chance to get back into it. And it could have been deflating to the people in the Bills uniforms. Now, I came on at halftime like I always do. Shout out to the halftime show on Bills Chat. You can always find it everywhere you find our podcast, not Spotify and Apple, but YouTube, Twitter. And I said, because it was 20-3 at halftime. And people in chat were a little bit nervous. They're like, why does the Bills offense look broken? Why come nobody can get open? And my thought at halftime, and I said this, was, guys, this is one of those games where the Bills are really going to dial it down in the second half. You better get used to a lot of simple, safe throws from Josh Allen, a lot of James Cook, a lot of Ray Davis. What the Bills are not going to do is give the Jets a short field, give the Jets any kind of defensive momentum. They're going to force the Jets to go the length of the field and prove they can do that multiple times while stopping this offense multiple times. And if they do, tip of the cap to them, but there's just no reason to believe that can happen. And that's exactly what the Bills did. It was a professional win. If you think about it like a plate of dinner, the Ravens game last week was like your steak. It was your sizzle. It was like the highlight of your plate. But if the 17-game season is a plate of dinner, a game like this over a team like the Jets is your vegetables. Like, you don't look forward to it, but it's necessary. You got through it. You did what you needed to do, particularly with the 4-day turnaround where you're playing the Dolphins the next day. As far as we know, nobody has any serious lingering injuries from this game, and the Bills got through it. And the best part about it, Luka, starters got to take most of the fourth quarter off, which again, on this 4-day turnaround, the Dolphins had to fight, scratch, and claw to barely lose to the Patriots. The Bills starters were on the sidelines in ball caps before this Thursday night game. That's massive. If you could have drawn up a perfect scenario, that was it for the Bills. They got it done. And I think it all comes back to what you said. Professional win, but I also want to give a lot of credit to Sean McDermott. He gets a lot of heat in the fan base. He gets a lot of heat from the national media. And I do think a lot of it comes back to 13 seconds. But the reason why you and I both believe he is a good coach is everything that goes into good coaching. He had to reset his team mentally after not only an exhilarating win that the entire world was talking about after Sunday, but rebuild the confidence in his defense that was playing without arguably two of their best four players in Taron Johnson and Ed Oliver against a Jets team that on paper presented a lot of the same problems schematically that the Ravens did. And boy, oh boy, did the Bills answer the call in multiple ways. I think today, if nothing else, was a latest example of, despite everything people want to say about Sean McDermott, the guy knows how to lead a locker room. He knows how to lead human beings. He got his team in the right mindset today, and they came out focused, ready to roll, and did exactly what a team like the Bills is supposed to do to a team like the Jets.
Yeah, it's take care of business. And the point on Sean McDermott's great because even to what you're saying and how in the fan base he takes a lot of flack. I feel like there was even a moment, when was it, Wednesday, I believe, when the reports were coming out that it was a very tough practice, irregular, and how physical things were being, and it felt like it was an expectations kind of correction style of practice where McDermott wanted to make sure he sent a certain message to everyone, especially on the defensive side of the ball, of course, that what took place on that Sunday night game for a stretch of it was just unacceptable for what the goals and aspirations are for this team. And it felt like even in the media, the local media, wherever else, he was taking a little bit of flack, especially because Ed Oliver's injury comes out and things aren't going well in that regard. And there's a couple other banged up individuals or questionable individuals. And it was just one of those things where it's like, God, long game. Why are we doing this? Things like that. The message was clearly delivered, and this team stepped up and did exactly what he needed to do without looking past it. I mean, I think it was a 13-0 game. I think it was a 13-0 game at the point when Romo or Nance brought up like, well, this is a bit of a trap game too, or it's a sandwich game and things like, and it was a very awkward time to bring this up. Shout out my one buddy who even kind of first started bringing that up. And I was like, you are right. Like that comment felt weird. It's a 13-0 game and a very comfortable Bills, thing going on. And what they were doing was giving props to what they were seeing, of course. But at the same time, it was just still a strange moment to bring. That's something you bring up like pre-opening kickoff or whatever. It's like, we could have an interesting one here. The Bills could find themselves in a little bit of a trap-like environment because you have a short turnaround at another game and things like that where you don't want to be caught looking ahead. But at the same time, that's what the schedule kind of does to you naturally in this instance. And on par for exactly how McDermott wants this team. Focus was clearly on this game and this game only. Focus was on dominating this game from start to finish, on defending the shit out of the ball, making sure Justin Fields, Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, or anyone else on the ground was not going to beat this team in any capacity. And they achieved that in spades, mind you. And then from there, Justin Fields beat you with his arm. I mean, yeah, good luck with that one. 3 for 11, 27 yards. Total QBR of 1.1, mind you. That is hilarious. So it's absolute professionalism at its finest. It was handled so brilliantly, in my opinion, by McDermott, and feels like the perfect correction that any question you may have had about this team and issues and holes, and are they going to be able to survive the Ed Oliver injury through the next few games that they might have to, and things like that. Your questions have been answered. And I say that in all truth. Like, this feels like a team that will not skip a beat against that. Now, would they miss an Ed Oliver in another game against the Ravens if it were soon? Yes. Good news. We're not playing the Ravens anytime soon. We got that one out of the way. Ed Oliver did step up in that game, of course. And now we have the Jets, who we just took care of. We have the Dolphins coming to town on Thursday night in short week, as you brought up. And then after that, we have a lovely Saints team that looks like they are really working hard to look impressive while still being the worst team in the league. So I tip the cap to Sean McDermott and the Bills in a game like this, because I think it's not that it's easy to look past. It's just easy to not give 100% every snap. It's easy to feel, because you are dominating, especially to what the early success of this game was, to kind of take your foot off the gas just a little bit. And in the NFL, you just can't do that. I mean, perfect example is like the Cardinals. Cardinals go out to a huge lead against the Panthers. They're dominating play. And then all of a sudden they let off the gas a little bit. And they did it against the Saints the previous week. Next thing you know, onside kick happens in a one-score game. Panthers recover it. And it took the assistance of officials, but that got scary for the Cardinals in a game that they were absolutely controlling in the first half. You just let up the gas a little bit. You kind of are a little unprofessional. This is the NFL. Anyone can get got. And this team, the Bills and McDermott, made sure that that was never going to happen in this matchup. And all the props to them to making sure they were focused and ready come this game.
Do you have a favorite play from this game? Because mine, I think mine is probably the Joey Bosa fumble.
That's a good one.
Because to me, I don't know how this game's going to be remembered. I guess there will be a portion of people that just remember it as the Josh Allen bloody nose game. That's probably how it's going to be remembered. To Luka's point, I'm having to go already back to the box. I watched every snap of this game, folks. I promise you I did. I was into it. I had to do what Luka was talking about, like, okay, Trubisky comes in. Did they do anything on that drive? And I'm sitting there thinking, I think they did, but let me go check. Like, it all kind of runs together because it's such a forgettable game. But one thing that stood out to me, Luka, was this is a tackle group for the Jets. They got a lot of credit last week for how they played against TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, who are one of the best edge rushing combos in the league. And Joey Bosa came out today and dominated, not only putting pressure on the quarterback, but in the run game and then making the splash play with the forced fumble. You said this early in the preseason where Joey Bosa has the talent to be in the defensive player of the year conversation. He just doesn't have near the durability to even make you think he's a contender. When I made the comment about like, hey, Greg Rousseau's, his odds are so far that, you just sprinkle a couple bucks on him. If he has a double-digit sack season and the Bills defense improves, you never know. And you're like, the guy you want to sprinkle it on is Bosa.
Yeah.
The guy we saw today, again, it's week 2. There's a long way to go before we can count on him still being here in January. The guy you saw today is why people like Luka and people that were excited about the signing said, at his best, he's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, that's a great shout. I mean, Joey Bosa, there was still a moment today when it was Fields' basically only big play where he had I want to say it was about a 27 yard run. And Bosa just had a classic moment again where it just seems like he doesn't quite understand how to contain or stay outside leverage on a very athletic, mobile quarterback. He just loses it. Now, that to me feels like something you just live with Joey Bosa, because Bosa's just being ultra aggressive, trying to get at, and Joey Bosa is the one guy. So like, it feels like all McDermott ends over these years have been all about edge contain and gap integrity and understanding your run fit and, all this and that, right? Like, understand where you need to be positionally. It's kind of like a tactical soccer coach where it's like, you can't freely move around the field. Like, you need to stay here. You need to do this. You need to understand your part within the system and the structure. Joey Bosa is the type of individual you do not confine to those limitations. You just let him go, pin his ears back. He is here for one thing and one thing only. Go get the guy who takes the snap every play. That is his job. He struggles a little bit when it comes to them tucking it and running it. It sucks when you're playing a Lamar, a Justin Fields, a guy who's dynamic in that part of the, of life. But luckily, he's not the only individual that's out there for the Bills. There are 10 other individuals. Hopefully, they can just take care of business from there. I love the call out for that, though, because especially, what's funny, Josh, is at one point in this game, where you're at the Meadowlands, it's a notorious turf for being problematic with injuries. And I sat there and thought, I'm like, when are we pulling Joey Bosa off entirely? When can we just rest him? Because God forbid he just bends himself a little bit and one of the spikes in his cleats gets caught just the wrong way in that stupid turf, and he turns his ankle, he turns his knee, something happens, and it's like, we can't be doing this in a game like this. Luckily, that didn't happen, of course. Life's good, all of that. I will say, I'm also going to the defensive side of the ball, and it's not even necessarily for anything that happened statistically. Cole Bishop at one moment on the sideline, can't even remember how it happens, but he starts getting scrummy, and it has a little bit of an edge to him, and has to get pulled out by his own teammates, gets dapped up or head slapped by a couple guys and stuff. Cole Bishop today, stat line, by the way, leading total tackler, leading solo tackles, sack, tackle for loss, QB hit. He was if you had questions about who is supposed to be in that spot, it is Cole Bishop. Answered, delivered. Here you go. This is what you get out of an athletic dog sitting back there at safety. And also, on top of it all, what I'm bringing up here is there was a moment in time where he played with that edge. It went a little bit above and beyond. It got a little bit, physical, extracurricularly wise. And, he had to get pulled out. No penalties came of it. But that little extra edge, Josh, was like, oh, this is what we need out of Cole Bishop. And I think the sack came after that moment too. And that's what really brought him in. And like, this was a game to me, spoiler alert, might be the name that I bring up later. Cole Bishop really shined. I thought Cole Bishop had a very strong game and played the way you expect and want out of him to potentially get the most out of that secondary where the questions are. And safety, of course, was a huge topic. And can we trust Cole Bishop? He had a weak preseason. He didn't look great, but neither did pretty much anyone else in the secondary against the Ravens. Never anyone on the defense other than Ed Oliver, for that matter. And it's just like, this was a game that bounced back. And it's like, when it comes to the Dolphins in 4 days, Josh, I am going to have no problem with seeing 24 lined up out there all the time.
I just made a facial reaction because we're recording this on Sunday night. It's almost 9:00 p.m. Eastern. And, by the time you guys hear this, you'll know more than we do right now. But Adam Schefter just tweeted, images of Joe Burrow's turf toe injury are being sent to noted foot specialist Robert Anderson. Yep. If surgery is deemed necessary, it'll sideline Burrow 3 months.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. I think it was already coming out it was turf toe with ligament damage potential. Dang. And it's like, boom. If only you spent a little bit money in defense to maybe hold within games. Although, hey, they still won today with Browning. And Browning, I mean, when you pay all those offensive weapons, you can make things happen.
They did win with Browning today, and that's just, unfortunately, that we both love Burrow. If you listen to our podcast just a little bit, you know how much respect we have for Burrow. For my money, when he's healthy, I would take him over Lamar. I think there's the top 4 quarterbacks. I like Burrow when he's healthy and right. I think he's excellent.
He's my number 2.
Maybe I have PTSD from just how he sliced and diced the Bills in the playoff game, but
yeah,
Joe Cool, whatever. That knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't come to fruition. I know we all want the Bills to win a Super Bowl, and getting Joe Burrow out of the way would make things somewhat easier, but not like this. Not on September 14th. All right, Luka, let's talk about James Cook's day. Last year we got accustomed to this, but it never gets old to me that since Joe Brady took over, the club the Bills have in their golf bag is that they can win a game like this today, where they can just lean on their running game. And this isn't the Bills running game of 2020, 2019, where it's like, okay, we ran for 150 yards, but like 95 of those were Josh Allen. No, this was a Bills running game today, led by James Cook, who had 136 yards rushing, an absolute highlight reel level long touchdown run. And what I noticed most importantly today, against a very good Jets front, so many holes, so many lanes, so many yards before contact. I would like to rant and rave and talk about how great of a player James Cook has become, because I believe all of that, the improvement he's made in his contact balance from year 1 to year 4. To me, it's brought him from hey, he's a fun young player who can be like a good weapon in the receiving game. We'll see what he can be as a running back, to I do have him on the fringe of the top 5 running back conversation in the entire sport. When you put his entire package together, I would take him over the guy on the other side of the field today, who you and I both loved in the draft process, Breece Hall. And he is the second best weapon on this offense. He put the team on his back today on a day where I think we can both agree Josh Allen didn't have his fastball, wasn't exactly 100%, and, left with a nose injury that couldn't have been having him feeling great. And the Bills just leaned on their running game, and it never gets old to me to be able to see the Bills lean on that and be able to just win a game like that.
I'm with you. This is something you would have never seen in a Dable era offense, in a Dorsey era offense. Like, you never had an expectation or even a thought that, hey, when the passing game looks like not inefficient, but just kind of hit or miss, or it's not in rhythm. The typical kind of words like that. Like you're not feeling great about it. There was no kind of alternative. There was no, as you said, club in the bag. It's like, hey, let me grab this utility quick, or let me put away the driver for now. Let's start hitting the 3-wood off the tee. Let's start leaning on the run a little bit and see what we can spring out of that. Let's see what we can do. And when you look at a box score, Josh, and you have 27 total pass attempts, 25 from Josh Allen, because there were 2 from Mitch Trubisky, and then you had 40 total carries out of this offense, although it'd be 34 outside of Josh Allen's carries. That's a great feeling. That's a complete offense, understands the job, can change game plan, although this could have been the game plan from the go. Whatever it needed, whatever this game needed, whatever games require in order to get over the finish line and or even dominate, this offense can achieve. And James Cook, good old Jimbo out there, he can do everything you need him to. And what I loved the most about James Cook's game, both of his scores had 2 very different vibes from it, Josh. And that's what I love about James Cook. James Cook can do multiple things for you. One, he can somehow miraculously, on a 1-yard run, keep every extremity off the ground until that ball breaks the plane. We obviously saw the incredible reach play against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, but he kind of did something similarly where somehow, some way, he contorted his body, moved things around to ensure that he wasn't touching the ground with anything to get that ball over the line. And then, oh, by the way, here's a breakout 44-yard run, and the dynamic play, big threat that he is, big play threat. I said that so weird. Big play threat that he is. And, you even have Josh Allen celebrating well downfield and basically expressing gratitude on thank you for signing. And, this is why we paid him. It's moments like that where it's like, that is why you keep James Cook in house. And that is the 1-2 punch you truly have in this offense, that we can talk about receivers and how hit or miss it feels at times, or it'd be nice to get more of that dog. Like it'd even be nice in the draft next year to get a Jordan Tyson, for instance. I just had to drop it because God, still remember that Saturday night. It'd be nice to get that alpha out there as a true number one, but push comes to shove when you have 17 and you also have 4 standing next to him. Things are going pretty good for your offense, whatever the game demands. I think James Cook showed today exactly what that is. I think, like you said, Joe Brady is just absolutely understanding the assignment and knows what he needs to do, and is not afraid to take the ball out of Allen's hands if it's just not feeling right, and or you have this back that is seeing the field well. Plus your offensive line, as you even gave props to, is creating holes and giving opportunities to the run game to thrive there. And I mean, I definitely think there was a point of emphasis to run the ball a lot more this game. They didn't probably want to get into a pass happy affair against the Jets just to potentially keep them in the game in any capacity, to the point of you even had Elijah Moore with multiple carries this game. And there was absolutely a consensus reason as to why that should be. And I will say, this feels like an opportunity that shout out how much that touchdown mattered to Elijah Moore. You could tell with his reaction, he really wanted to find that end zone. And props to the Bills in that moment to put the absolute final nail in the coffin by doing it with Elijah Moore and showing, hey, we're actually going to show him a good time now out here. Like, incredible stuff. So yeah, the run game was great, led of course by James Cook. And it's nice that you don't always, as we saw last week, you needed superhero, Superman, Josh Allen. This week, hey, Jimbo, it's your turn. Step up to the plate and let's just ride your back all the way through to another win.
You could tell it was important to him and his teammates. Like, they all were excited to see him get in the end zone. And I mean, again, that to me, that's a McDermott point. It's a culture point. It's understanding all the storylines, everything that's important to all the players. This is a player the Jets drafted in the high second round. They gave up on him pretty quickly in his career, and he hasn't gone on to have a great career, but he's a useful NFL player, and he had a chance to have a last laugh, at least today, against his old team. Luka, let's talk about Matt Prater, because last week when we were talking about the final drive leading up to the game-winning field goal, we were talking about, like, well, how far do the Bills need to get? And you had said, like, I think if you get to about the 35, he can easily hit that.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, he's like 40 years old. I don't know if he has that club in his bag. Second golf reference I made tonight for some reason. Prater nailed a 52-yarder today, Luka, and it looked like he had about 10 yards to spare on that one. So I made a tweet right before the Bills sent out the kicker because I didn't think they were going to send him out. I was like, we're about to all find out how much we really like Matt Prater. And he didn't just make it, it went like right between the pipe. I don't know. Another couple of weeks like this, I statistically, Prater and Bass have had very similar careers. Prater's is just longer. Now we're in week 2. Every kick is perfect. Week 3, week 4, it's gonna start getting harder to want to bring back Tyler Bass. Are you already there where you're like, yeah, let's just ride this Prater thing out? Or is this just I don't even know what to say at this point. I think Bass is a good kicker, but this Prater thing feels like it could be one of those lightning in a bottle things that you just want to ride out because when it happens like this in sports, you ride the wave.
Do I need to put it on a shirt that you ride the hot foot? Do we need to make that a thing? I will say this. I believe in Matt Prater. I'm as someone that even had to follow him with another team that I adore. Matt Prater can hit pretty much anything, even in these older years. And, you know, just being an NFL fan, of course, we remember him in Denver, remember him in Detroit. Like he was still banging balls like left and right. He was getting them through the pipes from well out. Like he was hitting 60-yarders. He's not doing that anymore, of course, but he still has that leg when you need it. And the nice part about being, you know, a Bills kicker is Bills are generally more on the aggressive side in fourth down. So you're not going to see a more conservative approach for that where you even, although at the same time, like there's a reason that the Cowboys are a little bit more comfortable as soon as they hit midfield because Brandon Aubrey is just an absolute beast. But you're not going to see a more conservative approach and a lean on a kicker for every little point like you do in those kinds of teams. You have Josh Allen. You have an offense that's as good as it comes. Like you can afford to be more aggressive. So Matt Prater's just going to be called into obvious field goal attempt opportunities. As you pointed out, he did have to hit a 52-yarder today, and it was fairly money. My point on Matt Prater is, though, in the years I remember following him as well elsewhere, a game will come where it is not happening. That is the nature of Matt Prater, even in his more, you know, experienced but not too old kicking career. There just always seems to be one game, Josh, where he's cutting it a little too hard. He's not seeing it right. He's pushing it a little bit too much. And he was doing that, mind you, from my memory, in a dome in Arizona, one of the best environments to kick possible. And I'm waiting for that, but I don't think it's going to come anytime soon. And until that happens, Josh, you ride the hot foot. You just keep going with this. You can, you know, once that moment in time happens, you know, whatever it is, again, I would have to kind of remember what the IR rules are and stuff and the designation to return and how that all works. I don't know how long you would be able to stash a Tyler Bass on the IR, but if you have the ability to lengthen that period of time, but also still have it in your back pocket where you can activate as, you know, designation for return, basically when that moment is coming where it feels like Prater's leg is starting to let him down a little bit, that's when you make that decision. That's when you have it. You truly, and I'm just going to say it one more time, ride the hot foot. You just keep going until Prater is just, it seems like age is catching up. It seems like he's just having an off week, whatever it is. And it's like, okay, we have this nice, healthy, dependable, somewhat dependable kicker that we trusted before in Tyler Bass. We can bring him back. Prater, really appreciate your services. Even potentially put Prater on the practice squad if you can. Although with kicker issues around the league, most likely you're not going to be able to hold a kicker like that as you have like Jake Moody all of a sudden on the practice squad in Chicago and the Niners signing Pinheiro, I think it was, and this and that left and right. Like kickers will eventually find their way elsewhere. And they just, it's all about being one of the 32 currently hired ones. So is what it is. But even today, Josh, you talk about kicking and all that. Prater, if I remember correctly, was even in on a tackle during a kickoff. So, I mean, he's doing everything right now, and it's just shout out Matt Prater at 41 years old, just still figuring it out and still being a dependable, reliable kicker. I don't see him officially with a tackle on there, so it must have not either that something happened on that kickoff and or he wasn't in on the tackle, but he was just around it. But I felt like I remember at some point in time, 15 was in on a kickoff tackle. And I just thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
Okay. Yeah. We don't want to see that too much. He doesn't look like the biggest guy in the world. Bass actually has some swollenness to him. I mean, for a kicker, but all right, some lingering thoughts I have, not necessarily worth of a conversation on their own, just some things I've been thinking about with this game. One, I thought Tre'Davious White, so he was back today. Um, he did play the majority of the game over Dorian Strong, and I thought while there wasn't a lot going on in the passing game at all for the Jets, I thought Tre'Davious White and Christian Benford were both very noticeable in their run fits. And in a game like this, that was very important. Trey had a couple of really strong run stops where he was the last line of defense, and that was good to see. What else did I see out there? Okay, Taron Johnson was inactive this game. I put out a tweet before the game, and then I think Tony Romo kind of confirmed this on the broadcast that Taron probably could have played today, but because of the quick turnaround, they didn't want to rush him out there and then, maybe risk not having for the Dolphins game. When you compare these two matchups, the Dolphins are much more likely to be an air it out 3 wide receiver team. Chances are you can survive well with Cam Lewis, a worthy gamble by the Bills today in my opinion. The third thing I want to say is Dayon Walker got the start over TJ Sanders next to Daquan Jones. And one thing I noticed, Luka, and I wanted to see if this was your read on it too. It's always hard to tell when you watch the TV camera, or the TV copy, but it looked to me like what the Bills were doing in run defense was almost like the old school 2000 Ravens where they had Sam Adams and Tony Siragusa. They basically told Daquan Jones and Dayon Walker, you just clog up the offensive linemen. Don't let them get to the second level and let Milano and Terrell Bernard read everything and be where they need to get to. I saw that multiple times. I certainly didn't watch it down in and down out, but I definitely, when I was focused on it, noticed that the Bills' defensive tackles were two gapping. In that sense, I think it makes sense to start Walker over Sanders, who played a lot on third down. But I like that schematic change by the Bills if the all 22 does in fact show that to be true. I'm not sure if you noticed that as well, but it popped out to me at least a couple of times.
It did feel like a wall-off defensive line approach, and that's the way I would word it. It felt, even outside of defensive tackles, you never really felt a crazy presence being felt in the backfield by any defensive line player when it came to defending the run. It felt like that responsibility, Josh, was more so, as you said, on the second tier players, the second line players, your linebackers, your corners, even if they were tight inside, whatever it was. And like, you saw them excel at that. I mean, Christian Benford had an incredible tackle for loss in this game that I remember standing out. You mentioned, it was really funny is Matt Milano had kind of not a true what the fuck kind of thing, but like oh, come on, Milano, like, be better than that. In the very next play, and I remember it was the very next play was his tackle for loss, where he just absolutely shot the gap and boom, well behind the line of scrimmage. And it was a true moment where, like, I was like, oh, okay, Milano's good, Milano's back, everything's good, everything's fine. And it felt like over time, to your point, that is what I was noticing. I mean, and it feels like even the box score kind of supports this, Josh. I mean, there are 5 tackles for loss by the Bills defense. 4 of them were non-defensive line players. Tre'Davious White, Christian Benford, Matt Milano, and Cole Bishop each registered their own tackle for loss. The only defensive lineman that had tackle for loss himself was Joey Bosa. So it really like paints the picture of what we're talking about here, where it did feel as if it was, rather than a super aggressive shoot your gap, figure it out, even from a defensive line. Your point is kind of valid. Again, I don't know for certain, it's hard to see, but it had that feeling of create this wall, don't let them get past you, and then let your linebackers, let your corners, let your DBs, let whoever it is that play is progressing to make the tackle, finish the job, whatever it is, like let them make it happen. Because as long as you're not letting this offensive line, like the Ravens did so well, influence that second level and really muck up everything going on with the linebackers and DBs, they can, I mean, that's the staple of a McDermott defense, willing tacklers across the board. You just need to keep them clean because they're smaller. I mean, this is big boy football that they were playing. And that immediate change, and to understand that that's what's necessary, if that truly is what it comes out to, especially when the all 22 comes out, I I would give so much props to Babbage and McDermott for recognizing that and making that schematic change and understanding this is what we need to do to set ourselves up better to succeed against teams like the Jets, and then potentially even to the cream of the crop in that world being the Ravens. Like maybe that's the approach we have to take. And maybe Dayon Walker is going to get a lot more snap counts if that future date with the Ravens happens. That would be something that I am a big fan of self-scouting. I'm a big fan of teams reflecting on what's going on internally and figuring out how they can correct things. And if they quite literally did that within the week and figured out, hey, let's change this idea, change the philosophy, maybe not get too downfield and try to hit their gaps, and let's just wall things off. Kind of like, fun fact, that's exactly what the Cardinals were doing in the pinch time. They told all their pass rushers, Josh, just stand up vertical, create a wall for Bryce Young. Just don't let him see downfield, and it worked pretty well in crunch time. It's hilarious. I mean, when he got 6'8" Calais Campbell, it's funny. But it felt like the run defending for the Bills really was that. It was to create this wall, let the linebackers and DBs read what's going on. Let them figure it out, and then they can shoot the gaps. They can get in the backfield if it's possible. Whatever it is, they can make the play happen, and they executed it beautifully. It was a very, very well done run defending kind of philosophy and tactic that they put on for 60 minutes.
Do you remember the last time Josh Allen failed to record a passing or rushing touchdown in a single game?
The last time Josh Allen didn't get any touchdown of his own at all. I would guess. See, I wanted to say the Jets like 3 years ago, but he had 2 rushing touchdowns. I don't know.
It's good. Baltimore last year.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Okay.
Ty Johnson got the touchdown, and the Bills just didn't do much else.
Good call. Good call. Very different result.
Very much so. All right, Luka, let's do game balls and game checks. Game check's going to be tricky because, I mean, who do you really want to blame in a game like this?
Yeah.
Maybe the guy that was responsible for putting Josh's nose together. It took him a while to get it pieced back together on the sideline. All right, game balls. Luka, who gets your game ball for the Bills' 30-10 victory over the Jets today in New Jersey?
I'll be intrigued by all your kind of honorable mentions and everything like that. The anyone but 17 game ball for me. Although this would be one of those rare moments that, of course, Josh Allen doesn't feel the need to fit in that role. Yeah. But I hinted at him earlier, and I just loved everything about his game today. And I thought in a moment where there was questions about the defense as a whole, there's still the lingering questions about safety. And even at one point in my family room, I was screaming at another friend that still was unsure, or earlier on was just like he was even someone that texted out, just like, I'd honestly be more comfortable with Hamlin back there at this moment in time than this individual. I said, what else do you need to see? And Cole Bishop, you get my game ball. That's exactly the type of game I think fans needed to see out of him, and just understand that this is what you can get. And I don't mean this lightly, and I genuinely do mean this though. And there's still plenty of time until he gets to this level, but it feels like you're getting an even more athletic Micah Hyde if you can get the most out of him. And that's what McDermott's trying to do. And you're going to have an incredible chess piece of a safety back there that is willing to do everything he's asked of. And as long as he can keep up with what McDermott asks of safeties and how this defense needs to operate, you can see performances like this well down the road. And Cole Bishop had a hell of a game. And hopefully this just builds on more and more consistent efforts like this. And I just think this feels like the game that I want to give props to number 24 and Cole Bishop, because he had an extremely strong game. I do think there's other candidates for this, but I loved everything about it. And like I said, that one of my favorite moments truly was just when you saw that edge come out of him, and he was really playing just exactly the way I would like a free safety on this defense to perform. Like it was very, 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 very strong performance out of him.
If the Bills are going to get where we want to get them to get to this season, and outside of Josh Allen staying healthy, one of the big things is going to have to be, can Cole Bishop, reach that next level as a safety? And today was definitely a first step, and it's why you and I have both been advocates for him staying on the field, play through the growing pains, because where you are in September does not have to be where you are in January. Where can you be in January when the rubber hits the road and we are taking on Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes with the entire season on the line? And today was definitely a good first step. One guy who won't get it from me that I think absolutely deserves it is James Cook, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, carried the offense today literally and figuratively on a day where the passing offense really wasn't needed. James Cook did everything in his power. Second year in a row that a Bills running back goes to the Meadowlands and just puts the offense on his back. Ray Davis did it last year on Monday Night Football. A couple other guys that I'd like to call out for having good games. I already mentioned Tre'Davious White. Christian Benford again was all over the field today. Christian Benford's playing with a lot more attitude and swagger this year. Just in 2 games, you can tell there's a belief in himself. When he got paid, he no longer feels like that under the radar 6th round pick. He knows he's a core piece of this defense and it's showing up. I would like to give a shout out to Deion Walker and TJ Sanders, both, great day by the run defense. We noticed the one thing about Deion Walker, 2 gapping, but otherwise held their own. The defense rebounded in general. Bobby Babish deserves credit for that. Sean McDermott deserves credit for that. And then another one, Sam Franklin, special teams. If I notice you on special teams on TV copy, you are having a hell of a day. And then I went back and watched the Sean McDermott locker room speech, and the first person he called out was Sam Franklin, and then he called out Mitch Trubisky. This guy, for a guy that being picked up off of waivers before week 1, is already maybe the best special teams player on the team. That was his reputation coming in, but monster play there. And McDermott loves that with how he prioritizes special teams. But my game ball is going to go to Joey Bosa. Couple of stats here. Unadjusted PFF grade. I don't know if you've seen this yet or not, Luka. 99.5. Never seen a PFF grade that high. And then Anthony from Cover One has these stats on it: 46.7 pressure rate, 40% win. These are absurd numbers. 40% pass rush win rate, 7 pressures, 2 forced fumbles, and a sack.
Mhm.
Just an absolute dominating performance by Joey Bosa. And to Luca's point, by the end of the game, all you were worried about is please don't get hurt. All right, Luca, with the good, I suppose there has to be some bad. Who gets your game check for today's victory over the Jets?
That's a tough one to do, honestly. Like you know what's crazy about this game, Josh, is you can't even be like game check is the kicker or the punter and things of like it's like this truly was a full team performance. It to top to bottom, I mean, even required the backup quarterback not in a let's just see the game out capacity. You actually needed Mitch Trubisky, as we talked about, to hit a 32-yard pass. I mean, it's not like we needed it 32 air yards, but I digress. Um, God, I'm gonna give my game check award to Ty Johnson.
I was just
And
thinking him. Like, we didn't need a third down back today.
yeah, Ty Johnson, looking at the box score, 2 carries for 6 yards. I mean, look, it's Ty Johnson. If Ty Johnson has 0 carries for 0 yards, it is what it is. 0 catches on 1 target. Ty Johnson could have just not been available today, and it feels like it would have had 0 impact on the result. And that's to the core of this award, or whatever you want to call it, what it is. It is not because Ty Johnson did anything poor. It's not because of anything against Ty Johnson. It's just, hey, to the core of the award, Josh, Ty Johnson gets my game check.
I like that. And he could have, like you said, taken today off. The Bills probably would have been just fine. I thought about Ray Davis because it feels like he's had a hard time getting going this season, although he did have that big 4th down conversion early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Also want to call out real quick. As fun as Josh Allen is post-snap, pre-snap Josh Allen is now one of my favorite things in all of sports. The mental aspect of the game he's showing. All right. I was also gonna say Dawson Knox, but then when the Bills run at the level they did, you figure Dawson Knox had a hand in there blocking and all of that. I think I am gonna go with Ray Davis, though. I just again, the way James Cook ran. No, I take it back. I had somebody in mind. Khalil Shakir.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know how much I want to get on him on a day where the Bills only threw the ball for 148 yards and completed 14 passes, but he had one catch for 12 yards. So far through 2 games, he's been very quiet, signed the extension this offseason. Again, like the Bills are 2-0. They didn't need much of anybody in the receiving game today, but on a day where you knew Sauce Gardner was either going to be on, Joshua Palmer or Keon Coleman, you figured you needed some easy button throws to Shakir, and for whatever reason, those did not feel like they presented themselves. Don't have a lot of doubt that Shakir is going to bounce back and have some big days for this team. But so far, at least 2 game sample size, off to a bit of an underwhelming start to the season. One other guy I wanted to shout out in as like a game ball honorary was Mitch Trubisky. Not lost on me was that spot where Josh Allen gets his nose bleeding, runs off the field. So now Trubisky doesn't even get the benefit of like player injured. I can get myself focused. Hey, you're out here, 3rd and long, go get him. And he throws a dart right at Sauce Gardner's face. All right, Luka. When Josh Allen runs off the field, my first thought was, okay, I'm a dad. That looks like a bloody nose. But then he's holding it like this on the, if you're on YouTube, like this on the bench. And then I'm thinking, okay, it looks like a bloody nose, but he's holding his head. And I've never seen Josh Allen just take himself out of a game like that. So then my thought goes to, please don't let it be a concussion, because if it's a concussion bad enough that Josh Allen's running off the field, it's got to be the concussion to end all concussions. But then it was pretty quickly evident that it was a bloody nose slash maybe like broken nose. But
Broken. Yeah.
was there ever any situation as Josh Allen's running off the field? Did you know right away it was bloody nose, or did you let your mind race a little bit?
Nope. It felt weird. So the family room, and I call it the family room because that's just where I watch with the boys. We all kind of recognize it immediately. And I don't know if it's because we just have a keen eye at the moment, the perfect moment and stuff. So when he had his head down, it wasn't direct lit or anything. So, but you could see kind of like a bubbling on the tip of the nose. And instantly having your nose, like having your face down, seeing a little blood on there, as someone that's had a few knocks to the nose and bloody noses in my day, like that's it, like totally understand the reaction. Like it's like you feel that warm rush happening, drips immediately start going. His was honestly really bad. Like to me, it felt when they cut to the sideline and you could really see it going still, I'm like, oh, that feels broken. And then there's another shot where you looked and it felt like Romo called it a little bit puffy. And I like, there was another one later on where it was like, oh, that thing is swolled up. It's like, that one might be broken. Unfortunately, he might have to be icing that thing later today for a while. His sense of smell might change all of a sudden. There might be a lot of things he's going to have to alter in his life due to a potential broken nose if that's what happened. But it was one where instantly I called it out. Even like Romo was like, oh my God, he never takes him out like that. It's like my mind wasn't racing because you could see it instantly. Like there was just this liquid bubbly substance right on the tip of his nose as soon as they showed it. And it's like, no, like best case scenario, just a simple bloody nose. And then you see the replay and you're like, oh yeah, you just got whacked in the face. The only thing I thought of was like, and I said this out loud, I was like, the way the whack happened and the way that they showed the blood gushing, I was like, oh, what if he lost like a couple of his front teeth or whatever, like hockey player style? And then all of a sudden we see post game press conference and he's just missing his front giblets. His chiclets are just gone. I'm like, oh my God, would we have to get used to kind of like hockey edition Josh Allen? That'd be hilarious. I mean, that would suck for him. He's a fairly good looking dude. You don't want to lose your teeth like that, but crap happens. So it is what it is. That was a freak thing in its own right. But no, I was never racing to think like, oh my God, he just got concussed. He got the worst concussion in the world there. It's like, no, he just got his face busted up. Like Josh Allen seems like the type of guy that he would get, like same thing would have happened in hockey if like a puck went up in his face like anyone else, like react, get to the bench, get patched up and get back out there, which is exactly what he did.
All right, Lucas, short turnaround. The Dolphins come to town on Thursday. Generally, these Thursday night spots are good news for the home team, especially in this case where the Bills are taking on a reeling Dolphins team. We have Wednesday to really break down this matchup. But let's talk about the AFC East as a whole now, as after today, with the Patriots beating the Dolphins in a crazy matchup. Actually, real quick, today almost felt like drought Bills, only like reverse drought Bills, where you watch the Bills game and you're like, we're watching the worst game in this window.
Yeah.
And everything else going on is fantastic. There were several times by about the middle of third quarter, Luca. I know you and I have the same setup. It's like big TV surrounded by smaller TVs. And there were several times after about the middle of the third quarter, I was like, I want to move a different game to my big TV, but I
Mhm.
didn't do it. It felt wrong. They actually pulled the Bills game off because it was on my local CBS channel here in St. Louis by about the end of the third quarter. So I had to go to the YouTube Sunday Ticket channel. But where I'm going with this is it reminded me of the drought bills where back in the day it would be like you're watching JP Lossman go toe to toe with David Carr to like a 10-7 final. And then on the other channel, you got Ben Roethlisberger and Carson Palmer like 35-31, coming down to the wire. And you're just like, why is this my existence? Why do these teams get to have fun and we don't? And then today it was like, I mean, the Bills won, it was fantastic, but the game was an absolute snoozer.
Yeah.
And then you had Patriots, Dolphins, wild ride. Cowboys, Giants. Holy cow, was that game on drugs? What other Niners and Saints wound up being
I mean,
kind of a photo
Jags
finish.
Bengals.
Jags, Bengals, Joe Burrow goes out and Jake Browning comes in and actually brings them back to win the game on what was the last play of the game. Am I missing another really exciting? I mean, Bears Lions was a blowout.
Yeah, that was a
Um,
blowout. I mean, Titans Rams got out of hand.
yeah, it was close for a while, but never
Yeah.
really. And Lions just destroyed the
Yeah.
Bears and the easiest blowout to see coming.
Oh,
Shout out to
Seahawks
Lucas
just
Locks, by the way.
yeah. 2-1. 2-1, baby, with the 2-unit hit. 2-0 on the 2-unit hits. So the
And
lock of locks.
yeah,
And then
Seahawks Steelers was fun. It got wild, like it got separated late, but it was a fun game until the middle. I
yeah.
mean, it was more fun than Bills
No,
Jets.
I mean Bills Jets was by far the worst of 9 games of the 1 o'clock
Yeah,
slate. The worst. And as Bills fans, we still enjoyed it, of course. Like everything was fine. But yeah, if you looked at it from an NFL lens,
yeah,
by far the worst. I mean, the game was out of hand. Listening to the commentary of Romo and Nance in the third quarter, they wanted to get the F out of there.
yeah.
They wanted no part of that. They were mad. It almost felt to me as if they were just mad that they had to commentate on that and Fox paid for the rights for Eagles at Chiefs. Like they're like, why aren't we there? Like,
Right.
that's the feel it had. And yeah, it was the 1 o'clock slate had some gems in there. And Bills Jets was far from that. It was the complete opposite. And you bring up the drought Bills thing. There was a comment, third and long, we'll call it. It was very long, third and long. And it was immediate. Everyone in the family room, and I'm sure everyone at home listening to this knew Jets are coming out and they're going halfback draw, punt it, go on with their day. And then another time, it's just like third and long, halfback draw, punt it and go. And you're just like, holy shit. Are we
Yeah.
watching the Bills, the drought Bills right now? And then on cue, one of my buddies goes, no, we're watching the drought Jets. And I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, there we go. And that is as real can be. And I have
Yeah.
some in-laws that are big Jets fans. And I'm not going to sit here and pile on. I'm not going to sit here and just call them out for anything. But I was hearing some stuff during Labor Day weekend where they're like, oh, we might be able to put in a fight here. You don't know, with Justin Fields
Yeah.
looked pretty good when he was a Steeler. And it seems like this new coach might have stuff going on. And I kept telling every one of them, your ceiling for this season should be exactly what you saw in MCDC's first year in Detroit. And it did not go well at all early on. I mean, at one point, I believe they were 0-11-1, if I recall correctly. And Dan Campbell got mocked for crying on the stand because he was going for it on fourth downs. They didn't get it because they were just a bad football team in LA, I believe. They lose that game and people were making fun of him. And he's just like, we care. We want to win. And he was in tears on the podium. And I tell them in all sincerity, it's like, that should be your expectation and goal. Like, you have a coach that's instilling culture and you can see that they care. You're going to lose a lot of effing games, but they care. And all of a sudden you will see that team that was 0-11-1 become what you see the Lions are now. And it's a machine and willing to do whatever's needed to not only beat you, but put their foot on your throat and dominate you. And if there's any sort of motivation they can have, they're going to put it on you and some. And I'm on Rawhead 3, and they were dominating over there. And it's like, if you're a Jets fan, That's what you should be looking for right now. That
Yeah.
is what you should live. And that will get you out of the drought. Accept what it is here as long as you see the care and the culture. And you didn't see that really today, but the Bills are just a dominant force. But moving forward, if you see other results similar to that Steelers game you watched last week, you see
Yeah.
other games where it's coming down and they're doing everything they can, they're fighting to the end, and they're even taking the appropriate risks. That's when you can take the positives away from it. And they didn't care for those comments, Josh. They thought that they should be a 7 to 8 win team, and I'm like, you need to live in reality here. That's not reality. The reality and the expectations for you should be kind of modeled, from the Lions. That's where you're getting this coach from, and it's a great model to go by. So right now, just accept it for what it is, and hopefully you at least see fight and care in each result week in, week out.
If you want to draw a parallel, think back to McDermott's first season. The Bills ultimately made the playoffs. I would not predict that for the Jets, but there was a home game against the Saints where the Bills were just outclassed on
Yeah.
all three phases by a much better Saints team. Sean Payton poured it on that day. And that was the game that ultimately led to Tyrod Taylor being benched for Nathan Peterman. That's kind of what today felt like. I will say this, though. I hear what you're saying about Aaron Glenn. I want to believe in him. Holy cow, did he have some wimpy moments today?
Oh yeah.
Some of his 4th-and-1 punting. Ugh.
Yep.
Like you saw. I mean, you came from Detroit, buddy. Ultimately, though, if the Jets really want to get out of this drought, they should just continue to lose games. And we'll see you in April. That's what I would do. Don't do what the Bills did, where you fight and claw for that 6th and 7th win in December and put yourself out of distance for that quarterback. That's their problem, not ours. Our problem is the Miami Dolphins coming up on Thursday. Luka and I will be back on Wednesday live at 7 p.m. Eastern to break it all down, give our thoughts on that game. I think, Luka, spoiler for the show on Wednesday, if that game goes catastrophic for Miami, which I haven't seen a line yet, I'm assuming that's what it's being predicted to do, with a long week coming up, you could maybe hear rumblings about McDaniels being out. We'll see what happens. I'm excited to be the ones that hopefully can pour some dirt on the Dolphins' grave. The Bills, again, 30-10 over the New York Jets. Luke and I will be back on Wednesday. I'll be back at halftime on Thursday for Bills Dolphins. And then Luka and I will be back next Monday morning breaking down not only what happened in Bills Dolphins on Thursday, but since that will be a little bit dated, it'll be kind of a hybrid between a Bills Dolphins like reset and just a 3 weeks into the NFL, what the landscape looks like for these Buffalo Bills. But for Luka, I am Josh McCarty. 30-10. The Bills improved to 2-0, and we will talk to you next time on Bills Chat.